Face of Evil is when the TARDIS arrives on a jungle planet, the Doctor encounters two warring tribes, the Savateem and the Tesh. The Savateem worship a god called Xoanon, and the Tesh are supposedly keeping Xoanon prisoner. But why do the Savateem call the Doctor the Evil One? And what are the invisible creatures in the jungle? The Time Lord, with the help of a girl called Leela, is about to find out. Now, The Face of Evil is actually quite good. It has a lot of good story ideas and plot twists and twist ideas, to where actually years ago the Doctor had this ship had crash landed on this jungle planet, and the Doctor had at one point during this incarnation had come to this planet and helped this survey team that was on the planet with their crashed spaceship and this computer that just got broken. And he was fixing the computer, thinking he was helping them, putting his own memory into the computer and forgetting to wipe it away so the computer, can have a clean slate. And thus the computer started gaining multiple personalities and just started going crazy after the Doctor left. And then sometime later, after he did this, he comes back, and unbeknownst to him, there's now centuries have passed, and now the descendants of that survey team on that ship had created two tribes. The survey team, or as the tribe pronounced it as Savateem, they went into a barbaric state and live in the jungle, whereas the technicians, or the Tesh, still live on the spaceship. And they're kind of more of a high class, kind of a mentally not challenged, but mentally powerful people. They have telekinesis and can move things with their minds. So it became a war of eugenics in a way. Also, what was cool was the story. It was a nice little, that whole story was nice, to have the Doctor come in and trying to clean up his own mess in a sense, and befriending certain members of the Savateem barbaric people first, and introducing Leela, and helping them, and then realizing that the real enemy was just him, and that this whole thing was his problem. Yes, the computer was evil, but he caused the computer to be evil, so it was all his fault initially. The set design was beautiful. Costumes were pretty cool. It was cool to see also costume and set pieces of just the remains of the survey team's space equipment, like machines, space suits, and other stuff, kind of interspread out between in the Savage camp, because you got to see their throne is actually just a spaceship chair. And the radio, when the priest thinks he's contacting the god, he's actually talking through a radio to the computer. And the kind of religious gown is actually just a disassembled spacesuit. So it was pretty good. It was pretty neat in that respect. Costumes of the different tribes were pretty interesting. The design of the spaceship was pretty neat as well. It was your typical kind of 1970s sci-fi look, but it was interesting. I like how the use of mirrors was well played. The computer itself was interesting, how it had 3 different screens in one wall, and different voices playing the same role, including Tom Baker's voice, because the Doctor's personality is put in the computer, so it had that voice as well. It was also pretty cool how because after all the years of people knowing the Doctor as the evil one, they actually carved his head into a kind of Mount Rushmore type of mountain, and it was kind of like a nice nod to Mount Rushmore, but also kind of to show how much of an impression the Doctor really had, and also to show that not every time he comes to fix a problem it is being done for good. He thinks it's being done for good, but in reality the consequence further down the line was bad, and just he didn't know that because he didn't see that far ahead. And again, what he was doing, he thought was for good, but didn't see down the line that would lead to evil. The costumes were good. Acting was pretty well done. I like some of the acting. The humor was good. When we first see the Doctor's actually talking to himself, or actually through the camera, breaking the fourth wall, but you can actually interpret it as him just talking to himself, because he doesn't have a companion. He's still alone. This is after the Sarah Jane left, and oh crap, what was it? The Hand of Evil or something like that. and he and the deadly assassin, he's still on his own, working on his own, going to Gallifrey to help, stop an assassination. And then we have this one next. So he's still alone, but he's trying to cope with it, so he starts talking to himself. And then he runs into Leela, and she kind of stays with him. And then he starts developing a relationship. Now that I've gotten to this, we need to talk about Leela. Leela is interesting. If you remember Raquel from that, it kind of like, I think it was the 70s or maybe even 80s, that she did kind of like that barbaric woman, I think it was like a movie or TV show, I don't know. You see the poster of her in the Shawshank Redemption. She kind of looks like that in a way. The Leela is still the kind of barbaric. She wears kind of like a leather kind of like patched together suit that's very kind of, for that time, kind of skimpy. Kind of showed a lot of skin, but she looked gorgeous in it, by the way. And it was it's pretty believable how it looks. It's not like it didn't look like just this TV, budget, suit. It actually looks kind of like leather pieced together and stuff. She has a knife, and, things are covered up pretty well. You can see like thigh and, bits of hair and some of chest, but not like down here, just more like right around here. Her back is exposed. But yeah, pretty good costume there. But she's very barbaric, but she's not in the way of Sarah Jane, to where, she's a very strong, independent woman. She's a different type of strong woman, because she's not the educated, brought up, civilized way, intelligent, strong woman. She's brought up a different way. She's kind of like the more, I've lived in the, kind of like the barbaric state. I've had to fight for my food. I had to fight for my place in the tribe, this and that. So she's more strong, independent woman that way. But she's not very like gung-ho about it. In fact, she actually questions things with her tribe about the religion and this and that, because so she's starting to learn a bit more mentally, but she just doesn't have a way to express it. And that's when the doctor comes in, and he starts, in a way, unintentionally starts teaching her and making her learn and becoming cultured and civilized that way. In fact, as I understand throughout her run, Leela does become smarter, more intelligent, and more civilized, and fits in better, although she still has that strong, barbaric kind of action woman type of thing with her, because that's how she grew up. So, in a way, Leela is pretty good, a nice replacement to Sarah Jane, and gives a step up for women characters in TV shows, and particularly Doctor Who, to where, like I said, the show is growing up, and therefore the characters have to grow up. So when we get a female companion, because of the times, because of the women's movement going on, they wanted more strong characters. So in the way, the female characters grew up, and so this is another addition to strong female characters after Sarah Jane. So, and from just watching this story, Leela has a strong promise for being a great companion, and from what I understand, she actually is, and I hope to see more stories with her and see her develop as a character. And the actress who plays her is very well. I like how she not only looks, but how she portrays the character and how she speaks her lines. I mean, her voice is very beautiful, so I like to see further on with her. Now, what was interesting also is towards the end, Leela herself had to actually ask, "Could I go with you?" The doctor didn't want her to come. He was just like, "Okay, problem solved. I'm gone." But before he got to the TARDIS, she's like, "No, can you take me with you?" And he's like, "No, I don't want to. I like you, but I like everybody else too. I just can't take everyone with me." So he starts to leave. So she just goes. She books into the TARDIS, and the doctor doesn't like that. And just as he goes in to get her, she touches the control panel, and the TARDIS dematerializes and goes off to the next adventure. So whether the doctor liked it or not, she joined him. So I thought that was a nice way, because usually companions accidentally get on the TARDIS without the doctor knowing, and just like, "Oh great, you came with me, so now I have to carry you with me," or they get kidnapped purposefully, or the doctor just says, "You want to join me? Come with me." So yeah, it was a nice little break from that. It actually just showed the independence of Leela a lot. The doctor's kind of character is at first it really does like her. It's kind of interesting how he just says, "No, I don't want to take you, this and that." So I thought that was an interesting character development. Also was paying a nod also because Tom Baker, who played the Fourth Doctor, didn't want a companion at that point. He said after Sarah Jane left, he's like, oh, I don't want a companion at all. I think the show can last with just me. But everyone's like, no, you can't continue talking to yourself. We need somebody to go, oh, doctor, what does this mean? This mean that. But Tom Baker at the time was kind of very adamant just having the show revolve around himself. He did have an ego at the time, and everybody does acknowledge this, including himself. He says, I did have an ego at the time. I wanted the show to be just about me. But both the actor and the character does grow to like Leela a lot, and he did change over time. Everything was pretty well with the show, with this story. I liked it. Very good special effects, visual effects, editing, storytelling. It was very well done. Great. Leela is a great character, and looks like it's going to be a great relationship between the two, particularly since the Doctor can teach her certain things that he couldn't teach other ones, particularly ones that are very intelligent. He has something to build with. So it'll be an interesting relationship story to go with that. Out of 5 stars, I had to give this a solid 4 stars. It was very good, very ingenious. It wasn't like 100% perfect in some respects because I felt like it kind of like dragged on just a little bit, and also sometimes the way they kind of delivered how certain things were, like how things came about, like the survey team. That seemed kind of jumbled, and kind of confusing a little bit. I kind of got it at first, but just the way they delivered it just seemed kind of confusing. I had to think about it for a minute. And also kind of mix and match, because they said, oh, it's this way, but then it's like, oh no, it's that way. Because like when the Doctor was telling the computer how it got mad or crazy, it just seemed like they were telling it one way, but then but then this happened. It was just like you're confusing the timeline of how things happen, and it just kind of got jarbled a little bit. That there's that respect, and like I said, it just seemed to drag on just a little bit. But like I said, it's thoroughly enjoyable. Good twists, good turns, very good story. And that is the review for The Face of Evil. The next story is The Robots of Death, where we get to see more of Leela in action with the Doctor, and of course, robots. We got robots, so nothing wrong with that. So yeah, let's see how Leela's character further evolves in other stories. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.